Welcome to Sales Bytes by Journey, where we talk about everything you need to know to be a killer at sales. I'm your host, Will Jenkins. Let's get it. Hello. Welcome to Sales Bytes by Journey. My name is Will Jenkins, your host. And today we have Chad Vos, VP of Sales at FWF. Chad, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Will.
Of course. Actually had the pleasure of meeting you through an acquaintance through the industry, man. Small world. Always fun to meet other really ambitious sales professionals in the space. So thanks for taking some time.
Yeah, you're a Chicago boy too. So
yeah, you know how it is. So hit us with your fun fact, man. That's how we always kick these off.
Go a few different ways. We'll go with before I was ever in logistics. Spent a lot of time traveling around, did some poor man's hiking and backpacking around Europe and Southeast Asia. And then I also hiked 600 miles of the Appalachian Trail. Sat there for a couple of months through the winter, hitchhiked home. That was my first logistics experience. I got to ride with some truckers.
Crazy.
And then wound up in the industry a few years later.
Ah, man. Well, I don't plan on doing that, but I want to hear more about it at some point. That's nuts. Sweet, man. Well, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick 10,000 foot overview of your career before we dive into our first topic, that would be super helpful.
Yeah. Graduated college, swore to myself I'd never work in an office. Not a chance. Just kind of wanted to be outside, live in a cave. Met my now wife, and things changed quick there. Figured if I wanted to get her to marry me, I should probably have some sort of stability. I jumped into sales. Yeah, did a year of medical sales and a year of closer to 2 years of sales at a marketing agency. Ended up selling a project to a freight brokerage in the area. Got to know the owners there. Really liked what they were building. Jumped in as a sales rep. Sold for a little while, and then got the chance to have my own team. Built a team there at the continue to step into leadership roles as we continue to scale. Always been on the sales side, but touching marketing, recruiting, training. Don't necessarily identify purely as a sales leader, but that's certainly where I fit. So
awesome, man. Well, it's exciting to be able to peel back some layers and learn how you got to where you are. And as we dive into our first topic here, obviously you've got a ton of experience in sales from different industries and freight specifically. So first topic, gaining some space or gaining an advantage on your competition where you can. Where do you want to start there?
Yeah. I think, the status quo, everybody knows, like if you're selling in logistics industry at all, super competitive. Status quo is, you got to work hard. It's a volume game. More calls, more emails. How do you get more effective outreach? I think about just like, how are you really gaining space? But just thinking back to when I started in the industry, I spent so much time just trying to find the whales. I'm looking around at other top performers. I'm looking at competitors. Just how are they doing this? How are folks slaying the way that they are? And some folks, they get a right place, right moment kind of situation. You see those, and that happens a lot. And other folks might have an in, but over time, seeing the through line of success being it's folks who are just consistent at getting better and killing it at the little things. I got a buddy who he owns a business, and he has to he probably ships like 3 or 4 times a year. But he'll call me up if he's just got questions around what he's dealing with, or sometimes we'll talk shop. But he was telling me a story a few years back about a load he had to have moved. It was about like a 1,500 mile run, needed a van. Was working with 2 brokers. They gave him 2 different quotes. They were $400 apart, and he ended up going with the more expensive broker. I asked him why. He said, "I care about this one a lot. I had more confidence that this guy was going to get it done for me." And not everybody is going to have that experience, but when you consider the fact that for all we know, those 2 brokers could have been working the same truck, you got one rep who instilled $400 worth of trust that another one didn't. And I think that's where it shows up. So yeah, it's super competitive. I always like to tell folks, hey, if you're getting started, you're working that first load, you got your first opportunity at a load. Assume you are going up against 50 other folks. How many can you outcompete just by picking up the phone, being able to have a conversation, not wait for the whole email exchange, right? And then after that, right? How many more can you outcompete by having better spec work, doing better research, knowing that company's growth plans or what they're dealing with, anticipating needs, what's it going to be? I even think back to one of my first customers. It was a second or third. Ended up being like a 2 or 3 customer a month ordeal. But they were local. I knew that they were just a couple of years into business, and they were shipping stuff. So new sales rep, I'm hungry. I reach out. I had a friend of a friend who knew somebody who worked there. So chatted with them, found out that they had some last minute shipments and they needed help on their floor loading some stuff into a truck. And again, this is like a startup. It was a printing company.
Sweet.
I took a Saturday and went and spent 4 hours helping him load up a truck. And then afterwards, he offered to pay me, and I asked him if I could just quote some of his lanes. He said, "I'm going to pay you, and yeah, let's get working." And I just think like those are the small things, right? How are you? It's a competitive industry. You have to figure out how many people am I up against here, and what am I going to do that they aren't, right? How do I get better at a bunch of little things? And so that to me is what I'm still going to tell people to do that all day long. You can wait and wait and wait for the secret sauce or the big disruptor, or you can just spend your time getting a little bit better at all the little things each day. And that cumulative effect will pay dividends. So.
Totally. I mean, if you think about the industry that we're in, it's relatively commoditized, and people aren't going to love to hear that, but it's a fact. There are a lot of transportation companies, asset-based or brokerages. We all do the same kind of stuff. We pick up freight, deliver it. The ability to service that and go above and beyond is what differentiates you. And you think about any experience you've ever had, maybe it was dining, maybe it was a hotel, some of the sort, and someone went above and beyond to make you feel comfortable. And you probably told somebody about it and you're like, man, if I ever end up in this location again, this is where I'm coming. Same thing for freight, right? If you go above and beyond and do stuff that the rest of the field is not willing to do, the bar is kind of low. You can trip over it sometimes. But if you're willing to do that, you can separate yourself and you really start to create space between the field.
Definitely. And knowing too, right, of like hard work isn't just more dials. No. It's hey, what are all the things that what are all the areas that I could bring value? Where are all the areas where I can truly show my work, build trust, get it done? And who's willing to go far, and how can I just go a little bit farther? And you can do that every day. It's just a little bit each day.
What's interesting in our space is sometimes people think it's the tech, or you've got to have some kind of crazy proprietary TMS or something that's going to be able to set you apart. But really, if you just do the stuff that your customers are asking, and a lot of stuff that they don't even know they should be getting, like timely updates or out of the box thinking to go ahead and work through challenges, there's not a lot of people that are willing to problem solve in that manner. They do the status quo. And you can, really catapult yourself up into becoming a top provider just by going above and beyond.
Absolutely.
What would you say to someone who is working through, let's just say, a large national RFP, right? Thousands of lanes. We can assume it's probably going to be relatively price competitive. So think enterprise shipper. They got a bunch of analysts just beating down prices. And so they're going to have all your usual suspects bidding on it, from assets to large brokerages. If I'm new into that opportunity and I want to figure out a way to differentiate myself and create some space, what would you say to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, it's hard to keep it down to a bite.
Give me just a little taste. It's a lot. Give me a little taste though.
No, that's a huge one, right? Like in an ideal world, you get to sit down, you get dedicated time with all the decision makers. You got procurement, bill. You got everybody. You get a full picture of what their needs are. You know what the target rate. Yeah, that'd be ideal. And when you can get those meetings, make sure that they work well. If you do get one of those, do not squander it. But in a lot of the cases, that's not going to happen. And I think, again, if we talk about what status quo is, how many brokers out there are going to be throwing one pagers or decks that say, hey, we're full service. We're really good at communicating. And you won't get better service with anybody else. And our cost is also competitive. And if you got freight, we can handle it.
Sounds like every deck I've ever seen.
Yeah, right. Like that could be true. It really could. But that doesn't mean anything to the folks in the room making those calls. I think you got to step into the empathy piece and remember that before you've done any work, before you've been able to show your chops, as a transportation provider, we're expendable. We're worthless until we've proven our worth. There's going to be people lining up wanting to service that freight. Let's really play to our own strengths. So you don't get that meeting, tough. I mean, still work for it. Do what you can to get it. But if you can't, you can't. Don't send the umbrella information that says we can handle everything you got. You got to stick out. What are you good at? What regions do you serve? Carrier utilization rate. What case studies do you have that show how you've helped somebody similar? How can you justify going through the whole procurement process and getting a chance at this shipper's freight if they don't know where to put you?
Totally.
They got to know where they can put you. So if I'm that rep who's got a big enterprise RFP, I'm connecting with some more experienced folks first. Folks who've gone down it. You don't do this alone. You do a lot of it alone, but when you got resources, use them.
Yeah.
But no, I'm making sure that whatever collateral is sitting on the desk of its recipient is going to show them right away. Hey, here's who we are. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can't. Here's where we're really strong. Here's where we're growing. This is what we're great at. Don't talk to us if we do this. We offer this, but we're much better at this. Give them the ability to look at it and say, nope, I know if we ever need them, this is what they can do and this is where they fit. And I mean, if you're trying to sell outside your core competencies, my guess is that first year's not going to go super well. First year on a huge RFP, you're not talking to a ton of folks who are they're having career years on that account year one.
Right. You know, what's funny is a lot of times doing what everyone else isn't is what gets you opportunities to be able to crack into an account. And so you got to think outside the box. And if everybody's coming in with, we're the best at this, or service is incredible, you need to be way more niche, way more specialized so that there's a reason, because there's 1,000 people saying that exact same thing. There's not much difference.
Tech enabled.
Oh yeah, man. We got tech.
We're tech enabled.
It's crazy.
I got an iPhone.
Man, I love it. This has been really, really helpful. I want to summarize some notes that I took about how to gain an advantage on your competition, and then we can wrap up with any other extra points that you got. So the first thing you said is it's super competitive. So the baseline is that, yeah, you need to work hard, right? That's an expectation. But how do you become more effective at your outreach? You need to be consistent at getting better. So figuring out a way to just work on the little things to get better and better. Assume that there's a lot of competition, because there is. Do more in your research to differentiate your outreach, anticipate some of the needs that your clients might have. And then we mentioned this one previously, but the little stuff matters. So you really need to make sure that you're buttoned up, really good at those small things to make a difference in your approach.
Yep. And the consistency. And that's going to show up everywhere.
Beautiful. Chad, thank you for taking some time to chat Sales Bytes with us. I know you got a ton more, so we appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure, man.